Patrick McHenry. He's the ranking member of the House Financial Services Committee. We can't have you on without saying that you got the best name for a politician. Really, I mean, it's like you're the son of like Patrick Henry or something. Isn't that what McHenry means? You know what?
The Mick means son of, right?
Right, it does. Son of Patrick Henry. Give me liberty. You should run as a throw your hat in the ring with those other 20. Why not? None of them are going to get the nomination anyway. Why don't you do that as Patrick McHenry?
I'm a happy person, that's why.
Anyway.
Actually, the exchange I got to see yesterday between Secretary Mnuchin and Chairwoman Waters is kind of like sitting between you and Andrew.
That's what we said. Makes us look like Ozzie and Harriet.
Yeah.
We said.
So I feel like Melissa actually this morning.
Or Becky, yesterday we had
Becky,
no buffer.
Yeah.
Hey, Congressman, you think you're already predicting this is going to probably. Not be as bad as what we saw with Congress or Chairwoman Maxine Waters, obviously, and Mnuchin. But you think Democrats are basically going to say that the banks are too big, and that we haven't done anything. But your point is that they are too big because Dodd-Frank made them too big.
Right. I mean, 10 years ago, we had the same crew of executives. There were different executives, but same sort of representational set of banks testifying before the committee in the midst of the financial crisis. 10 years later, what's going on? What's the nature of this hearing today? What is the legislative purpose? I think that's a head scratcher. Our markets are strong. Our institutions are strong. We've got headwinds globally. The IMF report of reducing global growth is problematic. The question of Brexit, the issues of Chinese debt, these things are significant. But the real significant question today is the nature of Dodd-Frank. These institutions are bigger because Dodd-Frank required them to be bigger. And we have fewer banks now than we did pre-crisis. That is driven largely by regulation. So it's a result of their policies they put in place, the Democrat Party agenda that is the full culmination of this hearing today, by which they're going to beat these companies up for complying with the law that the Democrat Party got through the House and the Senate and signed by a Democrat president.
So your interest is in ensuring greater competition and consumer choice. Is that antithetical to a lot of the things that you figure your opposing viewpoints that you're going to hear? It's kind of the opposite of what we'll get, isn't it?
Well, quite frankly, I mean, we have a debate about our free markets and the nature of our markets right now.
Yeah,
that is the fundamental debate in politics. Everything else is obscured with sort of the circus atmosphere of yelling or tweets or whatever it may be. But the fundamental debate is about the nature of our markets. And I believe in free markets. I believe competition works. And I think consumers benefit from that.
Congressman, you've been tough, though, I think it's fair to say, on Tim Sloan. I remember some of the hearings in a very similar way to the way Maxine Waters approached him. Well,
in that hearing, you have one of the large financial institutions, the highest head count of American employees, that has been fined by every single one of their regulators over the last 2 years, is still not complying with the very things they said they would comply with. And you've now gone through 2 executives in 2.5 years. I think the nature of that hearing was fundamentally different than bringing these seven G-SIBs in front of our committee today. Fundamentally different.
Congressman, Warren Buffett was quoted over the weekend in the Financial Times suggesting that the next CEO of Wells Fargo should not be somebody historically from Wall Street, from a Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, but from somewhere else. And the rationalization that he provided for that was effectively that the constituency, in this case, may be Washington. Do you think that's the right decision? And if so, who would you recommend? What kind of person?
No, I think it's for the board of directors to decide who is best going to lead their institution, return value to their shareholders, and do right by their institution. It should not be me as a politician or an elected official, even with the position I have on the Financial Services Committee, to make a decision like that or to be directive of that. Warren Buffett is a major shareholder of Wells Fargo. He has a very different position in the nature of what they should be doing. I think returning value to the shareholders is a fundamental issue. Doing right by their consumers and growing their platform is a fundamental issue.
So you like the cameras? I mean, do you predict there will be sound bites that we're running tomorrow, Congressman?
Are you going to be there tomorrow, Joe?
Yes. Then there will be blood.
There will be sound bites.
There will be blood. There's
Now,
a movie. Is
I
it
think-
more Survivor or more The Bachelor or what kind of reality? I don't know whether the cameras help because you know how. What is it that happens to these people when the cameras start rolling?
So you have 7 banks, 3 different business models, really. I just wonder how many questions custodial banks will get, right? Because they have a very important role in the financial system, financial ecosystem. I don't know if there's going to be a great deal of direction given to them. The questions I care about, though, are about regulation, about complying with the law, and global systemic risk, which is the hearing we should be having right now, not about this sort of circus.
Well, I just wonder whether cameras help or hurt. I mean, we all want transparency, but then I see the way these politicians act, and I don't know. Anyway, Congressman, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Coming up, the details on this morning's march.